Welcome back, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Six Rings King Show. Back at our new time here, Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Joined always by Larry Bluestein, Vish, and Danny Gillette. How are you? Excuse me. By the way, I didn't know if I was gonna be able to get pull through today with my voice. I had lost it in the middle of the day. Finally got it back a little bit, so you might hear some other people talk a little bit more, which I'm sure anybody who's watching will be happy about that, anyways. So, what's going on, fellas? How you
I
guys
know I
doing?
am. I'm doing well, especially
Yeah.
now you just told me you lost your
it,
voice.
it would be a Patriots fan to say something stupid like that after you get trampled yesterday. But anyways,
Keep holding on
uh,
to 1972. That's all I got to say.
ain't
1972.
nobody's holding on to 1972. We're holding on
Oh,
to 4-0 now for Tua against your sorry ass
believe me, you guys
Patriots.
pull out the 1972 card like it's no tomorrow. Don't even give me that crap.
Can,
Don't
can
even
some,
give me that crap.
hey, I don't. But can someone try to mute Danny Gillette? Jesus
Well, just
Christ!
go easy on them, Jazz. After what Nebraska's been through the
That's right.
last
So
few
you
weeks, I
got,
mean,
you got
you gotta
Nebraska, the Patriots. Jeez, Louise, must
At
be a
least I got the
rough time for you.
Celtics. At least I got the Celtics.
Boston College laid an egg too, so you got it
Yeah, they
all. It's
did.
all
They
rolling
really
your way.
did.
Yeah,
They
man.
really did.
Ugh.
It's the Blake James effect.
Keep holding on to those 11 championships, Danny, for the Celtics. Keep holding them on.
I mean, I will. At least we beat the Heat. That's all that matters in these parts.
Yep. Anyways, not when it counts, but anyways, what's going on, guys? How you guys? Southern Miss was a little 50-50, wishy-washy. I know me and
Mm.
Blue at the game, and yeah, it was tough to watch in the first half a little bit. Blue, I mean, I kind of want to get your take on what you thought about the game as a whole, and we'll kind of break down some positions and some things that we saw.
Well, as we kind of alluded to during the game, Southern Miss came to play, obviously, and I think they were better than a lot of people thought. They were bigger up front than people thought. Obviously, though, in a day where Notre Dame lost at home to Marshall and A&M loses to, but I don't think Appalachian State anymore is a big surprise when they either beat somebody or play close. I mean, because they could have easily beaten North Carolina, could have easily beaten Miami last year. So, but still, if you're a team that figured to, be with Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia in that mix for the Final Four, you need to go and take care of business. I mean, today somebody asked me about A&M, and I said, right now, they're they're a really good football team, but I thought that the takeaways is I think Miami got kind of fooled by the fact that they thought that Southern Miss would come out and run 80%, and they didn't. And you and I kept looking for Frank Gore Jr., and he did. What do you have? 5 touches, 6 touches.
He had a total of 10 yards, 10
Wow.
total yards.
Yeah. I thought Miami made adjustments at halftime. I don't really believe when Mario was asked at halftime and the kids were asked at halftime what was said in the locker room, and they acted like it was nothing. I don't know. I have a feeling that was a little more than nothing, and they just weren't underachieving. They didn't come out. Remember, I told you they got to come out just like they did in the Bethune game with their hair on fire and there was no energy. And the most energetic guy on the field was Mario.
Yeah.
And that can't be like that. But a 30-7. What's up, Alex? A 30-7 win is you take it. It's a 23-point spread. And then you move on to the next game. And, so my takeaway is they didn't play as well as they could. They have to, the intensity has to be out the roof this week. I mean, because they're going to have 90% of the fans that are going to be wearing maroon and white, and 40% will be standing most of the game. So it's going to be a different atmosphere, and they've got to come out and own this. They got to own the game. So I know we're going to get into A&M, but I just got to put a finishing touch on the Southern Mississippi game. Didn't execute well at a lot of times. I thought defensively, we go back to Corey Flagg making all those plays again. People keep saying how he shouldn't be in the lineup, but yet he's the one making the plays. So no Messidor, which kind of like changed the complexion, although I hear he's going to play next week. That really did, because there was nobody really putting constant pressure. Leonard Taylor had those 2 plays in a row, but kind of disappeared the rest of the game. But other than that, like I said, they're 2-0, and you'll take that.
Yeah, I think, and I'll kind of throw it over to you guys now, but I think that the issue was, yeah, I don't necessarily think that they were looking ahead, but like you said, Blue, they came out and with less intensity because I think they thought it was going to be a cakewalk. So it was more about that game than about looking ahead. I just feel like they thought they were going to completely dominate. And like you mentioned, like we spoke about, Southern Miss came out ready to play. They were up. They were they were just fired up to be in this game. And look, they're not small up front either.
No.
By the way, their offensive line averages like 320 pounds. Those are some big dudes there, right? So
yeah.
Now you're going to get into every single game that you're going to have 320 pound offensive lineman that this defensive line is going to have to, kind of try to push around. Yeah, no Mesidor. I get it. I apparently from what Mario said in the press conference after that, he had like a little bit of some sort of small tissue injury or something. So they held him out as a precaution. Could he have played? Absolutely, but I think they just held him out because of precaution. The guys coming back like Zion and Rooster, they were on play counts anyways, so you weren't going to get a lot from them. You were just going to get enough to see them kind of get some game action and be ready for this week. But the first half was just brutal. I think that there was a lack of execution on both sides of the ball. And to be a fly on the wall in that halftime speech. I don't buy it for a second that Mario wasn't just, ripping them a new one. So, Vish, you saw the game. DJ, you saw the game. What do you guys think about what you saw in the first half as opposed to the second half? Obviously, they turned it around and they turned on the Jets in the second half a little bit.
Yeah, I think we came out there thinking we were going to push them around and then couldn't. And I think that's kind of what hurt the offense because I know everyone was complaining, myself included, how vanilla it was and how we're just slamming the ball on the line. I think we thought that would be successful. Liberty ran all over them. I think we thought we could establish that run game. We didn't. Van Dyke was a little off. That didn't help. But I think we really were just trying to pound the ball and run over them. We couldn't do it. And then defensively, like Blue said, like this is a team that attempted 8 passes the week before that just came out throwing it.
Yeah.
Just completely different game plan entirely. It's just like, what team is this? And so that I think caught us off guard. And I will say, on the positive side, when they tried to run it, they got nothing. Our run defense was excellent, and they're a running team, so that was a positive. I think one of the bigger issues we had early on, we were losing people, especially over the middle. They had a lot of success there, but after we settled in, it was more just defensive backs got to locate the ball, make a play on it. They were in position several times on some of those throws where they just didn't bat the ball down, could have gotten interceptions if they. So I think that's probably an area to improve on. Other than like the effort and like I think we can all. I don't know if they're going to say it that way, but we did not come ready to play from the beginning. So I doubt that'll be a problem this week. But in terms of like actual things to work on, the defensive backs have got to make plays on those balls. You got in position, you got to knock the ball away. The number of times that their receivers just like elevated and caught the ball over our DBs who were just standing there, sometimes waiting for the ball to come down to them. Like, no, go attack the ball. So I think that's probably going to be a point of emphasis this week as well.
DJ. You're on mute, DJ.
Sorry about that, but no, I mean, I was a little concerned by the slow start again, and I say again because they had, a slow start against Bethune-Cookman last week too. Things didn't exactly, come out firing on all cylinders, but these slow starts just kind of concern me a little bit because it sounds so cliche, but these are the types of games where you build good habits for the quote-unquote tougher games, and starting off slow against a team like Texas A&M this weekend, and we'll get into them a little bit later, but that's not going to work. They're going to be ready to go. They're going to be ready to play. And so, yes, these are easier games, but, you want to build good habits now so that you'll be ready to go when, the tougher competition starts. And just overall, I thought, we tried to run the ball like you guys said, and it was a little bit of a struggle, but it was nice to see Henry Parrish really make another big mark on a game. I think he's really kind of become the explosive back that we thought he could be when he got here. And then kind of building off of last week, Xavier Restrepo did a nice job of, providing impact plays once again, once everything got going. And it was good to see those two put together another solid effort for the second week in a row.
Yeah, here are some of the final numbers. First of all, passing wise, I know we all look at TVD's numbers and we say, well, he didn't really play that well. He didn't have his best game. He was definitely off, and he'll tell you himself. He did say it in the press conference, in the interviews post game. So that there was a lot of throws that he wished he had back that he can kind of work on. So he went 20 of 20, and even then, still had a pretty solid day. 20 of 29, 241 yards, a touchdown. He did throw that ugly, stupid pick. And then you had on the other side Wilkie, who, by the way, me and Blue were under the impression the other kid, Ty Keys, was going to start. Wilkie came in, did a great job. 16 of 27, 207, 207 yards, a touchdown and a pick as well for him. But you look at their receivers, Vish.
Yeah, just on that point, real quick. They warmed up Keys. I think they were doing a bait and switch on us. Because Wilkie was clearly the guy they prepared to play, and they put in a game plan for him that was completely different than what they were going to run if Keys was in there. So they did warm him up. He was out there in pads. They listed him as the starting quarterback, and then they started the other guy. So I think that was pretty much just a complete ruse.
Well, you see it here, and Vish, you mentioned that the wide receivers are receiving. Brownlee went five catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, that's a big day for any.
He's a big guy too.
And he was covered on all those, but yeah, to Blue's point, he's talented. He went up there and got the ball, but
good player.
My disappointment was a lot of those we weren't really making a play on it. We kind of allowed him to go up there and get it.
Right.
There was one towards the end of the first half, I believe, right before it was ended up being an incompletion where he hit the quarterback and he threw a duck, and our defensive back was almost waiting for it to come down like a punt. And fortunately, their guy went up there to get it, but dropped it. But it's just knock the ball down. I don't know why we're not doing that.
Yeah, you saw some of those plays from I think Corey Couch is probably the best. We'll talk about that in a second. But Corey Couch did make some nice plays on some of those balls. But yeah, you notice there's something going on there. But on the other side, our receiving core really evened out. It's really spread out. Restrepo again had 5 catches, but 58 yards. Brashard Smith 4 for 53. Keyshawn had 3 for 49 with that really nice grab on probably Tyler Van Dyke's best throw on that flea flicker for the touchdown. Michael Redding, again, another solid performance, 3 for 45. So, those are some of the top guys. And then running the ball, again, Miami did a great job running the ball. And like DJ mentioned, Henry Parrish was obviously the bell cow again. 21 carries. That's a good amount of carries there for a running back. For a backfield that's split between 3 guys right now. 21 for 106 and a touchdown. And you've got Thad Franklin, who again had another solid performance, 13 carries, 69 yards, and a touchdown himself. And then you saw, as we said, a play count for Jalen Knighton. He only had 5 carries for 17 yards. There was some of the carries that you saw him, his shiftiness and his speed, really play a part. He had, I think, one of 7 or 8 yards where he looked really good. So, he's going to be coming in a little bit as well. So I think that's the biggest takeaway that I get from this is just, them being prepared. They weren't prepared at the beginning for what was being thrown at them. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do on Saturday against Texas A&M. We're going to get to that, but I think we keep coming back to wide receivers, right? We keep coming back to the passing game from Southern Miss that gave us a little bit of an issue. It gave us some issues, and I think that we definitely should kind of bring that up really quick here before we give us our top 5, our 5 here for the Canes. Let's talk about our. Let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors here. Let me pull them up because, of course, I'm never ready for this. It's okay. I'll be ready for it in a second. I'm going to give it up for Manscaped. Where are you at, Manscaped? Do you have it up? I know you have it up already, right? Vish?
There it is.
Manscaped. There it is. All right, let me just pull it up here real quick. Oh, Jazz, what a day.
I mean, you did your infomercial already and posted it on the.
I did. By the way, while I pull this up, yeah, I got my box. I got the Lawnmower 4.0 is absolutely awesome.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
I'm just letting you know now that thing is awesome. That thing, they were excited. The boys were excited.
All right, keep it G-rated.
They were excited, man. It was fun.
I'm trying to get demonetized here.
The Weed Whacker. I'm not saying anything. The Weed
6
Whacker.
rings after dark over here.
I got it charged. I got the Weed Whacker charging, man. That thing is awesome too. I mean, everything that they sent over. A nice little travel package, which was really nice because you can kind of hide all your good stuff, all your goodies in there, man. So, pretty excited about that. If I can find Manscaped, that would be good. I'm doing such a terrible job here. Here we go. Oh man! All right, so let's give it up to for Manscaped here. Fellas, the fantasy football draft season is right around the corner. Actually, it's already here, and we've got first week of NFL football on its way. CeeDee Lamb is good, but have you seen these beautiful balls? And you're telling me to hold it back? It's time to get your snake looking right for the snake draft with the sponsors of today's show. Manscaped, the leader in below the waist grooming, have created a championship lineup from their performance package 4.0. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code 5RSN. Make sure you guys go to manscaped.com, 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code 5RSN. Manscaped.com. All right, let's keep it moving though, because we got Texas A&M to talk about. But really, our 5 takeaways from this game and kind of moving forward. I think the first thing that we really should kind of address is a cornerback play. And this is the way I want to go with this, right? I don't want to necessarily knock the players because I think that we all know who's looking better than others. Blue, are you concerned with the cornerback play right now? Are you comfortable with it, having the guys that we have there, and just kind of how? Look, Texas A&M has some really, really good wide receivers. Keith Brown, Evan Stewart, some of the other guys there. They've got some really, really good, talented receivers. Are you concerned about the cornerback play so far? Do you think they're going to be successful against this team?
They're going to pick on them. I can tell you that. You said Couch. I thought Couch had a really good game. Ivy's had a couple of tough, rough outings. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They're going to his way. It's just I don't think it's working out as well as we had hoped it is. And but we're going to find out a lot of things about this week because this is basically. I'll even include Clemson. I think this is the best team we're going to play. Because I think A&M would hold their own or maybe even beat Clemson. I mean, they got talent. And I think that we have to kind of watch out this week because of the fact that we can be exploited. We're going to have to get a consistent pass rush. That's the one thing because you're less inclined to worry about the corners if you can get a pretty good pass rush and force them into throwing balls rather than letting them sit back and, pick and choose because then Miami's they're going in trouble because he needs help. Our tackling is okay, but it's not great. Manny Navarro and I were talking at halftime, and it's funny. You got that feeling where it was almost deja vu to last year because of some of the poor tackling and. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen, but this has got to be an all facets type of game. Everybody's got to contribute, but I think that they really need Leonard Taylor to complement Messidor. They do. Lichtenstein got into the game and he did pretty well, but this is a different level now. Their offensive line is experienced. The kid A-Chain is a great back. So
Anais Smith, right?
Yeah. So this is one thing, but to answer your question, I'm a little concerned for this week, because you can't give this quarterback, and I don't forget about this quarterback, any quarterback, an opportunity to sit back there especially with that wide receiver speed, because they're going to break a big play. And you don't want to see that. So I think it's a day for Williams, Kinchins are going to have to really step up to help out in the secondary. You're going to have to get really solid tackling linebacker play, which they've had, but not great. And their front seven is going to be the key in this game, because if they get controlled up front, then your defensive backs are going to be out in an island that they probably aren't prepared for right now. But like I said, we're going to find out a lot, excuse me, about this secondary in this game, no doubt.
Yeah, for me, it's, I'm comfortable with some of the guys. Like, I know I feel like Takori Couch has done a good job.
Yeah.
Tyreek Stevenson has his moments where he has some issues, and I'll tell you why. I'll be just completely straight up, right? I think that he's not a very fast cornerback, which kind of piques my interest when I see him on kick returns and punt returns and things like that, because he's not necessarily he's a bigger guy, right? He's not necessarily the shiftiest guy, and doesn't have that acceleration that we're looking for. But I'm not saying he's slow, but I think that, like you said, Blue, they might try to exploit that type of stuff.
Yeah.
We know the size and the, he just looks the part, DJ Ivy, but he hasn't been able to really put it together. You're even seeing Bethune-Cookman, you saw Southern Miss go to his side a lot.
Yeah, Southern Miss was picking on him completely.
Yeah,
but
you saw him miss tackles,
yeah.
right? You saw him miss tackles. You saw him out of position. And so his side of the ball kind of concerns me a little bit, but I think that at the end of the day, they're going to have to rely on those safeties a little bit more. And that's going to be the biggest question mark. Can the safeties, because you saw James Williams play all over the field. You saw him play star, saw him play safety, saw him play Mike linebacker. You saw him everywhere. So is he the guy that you're going to keep him in there, play the star, and then bring Avonte Williams back out there, or is Al Blades going to be the second corner? Which I don't really want to get into specifics with Avonte, because I don't really know, so we'll kind of keep that out of it. But like, who's going to be the other guy? Who's going to be the other safety if James Williams is going to drop down and play more of that star position, or cover the middle of the field a little bit more, and who's going to be behind to kind of help the corner? I mean, there's a lot of question marks. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to see what they do for this cornerback play. Vish, I don't know, you saw it on the TV, you saw them, what's your biggest concern, if any, or do you think they'll be able to hold up? Because I'm not convinced with Haynes King either. I don't know if he's that great of a quarterback. So if we put pressure on him, I think he's going to make mistakes. He threw 2 or 3 picks against App State. So I think that we've got an opportunity there.
Well, so we don't know that Haynes King's going to play. He's going to start at least, because
Well, you think they're going to try to put Max Johnson in?
Yeah, Jimbo didn't commit to a starter
Gotcha.
Today, at least. But either way, to your point, none of those guys scare me. Of course, we just saw a true freshman show up, taking his first snaps and have a lot of success, at least for a half. So, take that with a grain of salt. My biggest concern is just, I touched on this earlier, but we're just giving up too many completions. And I don't think it's a personnel issue. Like, to your point, like, we put Malik Curtis in there, he got burned twice and he got a touchdown. Like, I don't think
it's a big place, right? It's a chunk yardage that has.
Yeah. So I don't think the answer is to let's bench everyone and put it. I don't think that's the solution. So it is really it's on the coaches to coach them up a little bit. Like you mentioned, DJ Ivey is always in position. But then they always catch the ball too. Like, he's very rarely like just burned and losing coverage entirely.
Right.
So like, how do we fix that? I don't know. To be honest, some of those were, especially on their first drive, a lot of those were like kind of just missed assignments by us, like where we just lost guys over the middle. On one of them, I'm not sure what the formation was, but they had 2 receivers to the bottom side of the screen. We had 1 guy out there. And then when Flagg, who was the linebacker, he did come out to take the slot guy away. But then that opened the middle of the field up, and that's where they completed it. So I don't know if that's a scheme thing, or if someone else is supposed to rotate and we missed something and they all didn't read the play. It's a couple of games in, so they should get better. But just overall, Rob touched on it. I wouldn't just say the third downs. These are third and longs. You got to get off the field there. Like if you win first and second down and it gets to 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, you got to get off the field. And that's the biggest concern. It wasn't just giving up throws. It's, 3rd and 8, 9, 10. Those should be hard to convert. And at least in the first half, Appalachian State, no issues, getting receivers beyond the sticks and completing it. To Blue's point, no pressure. You kind of stand back there, but just leaving guys wide open. So I don't know where the solution is there, but we need to tighten up on that. When you get to 3rd and long, you got to get off the field, and we didn't do a good job of doing that.
I agree. DJ, I'm going to start off with you on this one. We'll keep going around and rotate so that we don't spend just crazy amounts of time on one. This is one that I'm excited to talk about because I think that we're being very successful. And what I'm talking about is the running backs. Okay, now we've got a rotation going. We've got Rooster back in the mix. Parrish, as you mentioned, DJ earlier, has looked really good, bouncing it outside, even running in the inside with some power. What's your take on this running back rotation? Obviously, Rooster's going to get much more playing time. Well, we think he's going to get much more playing time against Texas A&M. But how much do you want to take away from Parrish, right? From Henry Parrish, because you're seeing him that as the game goes on, he's still, just as strong, just as quick. And I love what I saw out of him. I love what I'm seeing out of Thad. So how much does Rooster coming back take away from those guys? Or do you even give him as much? I mean, I know my answer, but I want to hear yours, DJ.
In a game like this, in a game as big as this is, because this is one of the biggest games of the year, I want to keep feeding the hot hand. And if that's Henry Parrish, then so be it. I want the best personnel on the field against a tough team like Texas A&M where you can not make mistakes. I mean, sure, we can all joke they lost to Appalachian State, but this is a darn good football team. So I want my best players on there, and I want Henry Parrish on the field as much as possible.
Blue, what do you think about this running back rotation right now? Do you give Parrish still the most amount of carries and most snaps? Let's say everything being equal right now, Rooster being on no snap count at all. What do you do with this rotation? You're muted, Blue. You're muted. You gotta unmute yourself. You're still muted, Blue.
You're still muted.
Unmute him there, Vish. Can you unmute him? Vish, you're muted too. Is everybody muted? Nobody wants to talk?
No, I can't unmute him. I tried to, but I wasn't gonna talk. He's got to unmute himself. It says you can't unmute him because he muted himself.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I'll answer your question because I'm gonna give you a little bit of a different answer here, which is I don't think Rooster's gonna play a lot. I think he was on a snap count, but I also don't think he ran very well. And I would not give him carries in front of Thad right now. So he's got to be the third guy. So I think he'll still play, but I think we came into that game thinking, it'll be Parrish 1A, Rooster 1B. I don't think that's the case anymore. And I know Mario talked in the pros game about, one of the problems is we just didn't run hard. I don't think he didn't name names, but I do think whatever Rooster's injury was, he was a kind of probably a little skittish about getting re-injured. Big game next week, right? And I don't know that he necessarily, did himself any favors. And I think it would be a tough thing to ask him to do to go into A&M now, having gotten 5 carries this year and carry a lot. I think this is Parrish's game.
He's unintentionally put himself in a tough spot, I think.
Well, I mean, he only got 5 carries this entire season. Now you're going into a hostile environment and trying to get him to what are you going to do? Give him 15 carries? No way, right? I mean,
right. So here's what I think. I think that, yes, while I agree with you guys, I think Jalen Knighton is still the best running back on this team. He only had 5 carries. I get that. He was on a snap count, so it's not, who's to say if he gets 5 more carries, he doesn't break one for 50, 60 yards, right? Like that's it could happen. It definitely could have, right? He's been known to do that a lot. So I still think he's the best running back on this team. I don't know if and that's not taken away from Parrish because I think he's right there. I think Thad is playing that good right now as well. I think that those 3 look great. They're going to look fantastic down the road. But as much as I want him to get in the game and break some big plays, I don't know if you take the risk on certain drives where you got Henry Parrish and you got Thad, and they're wearing down that defensive line. They're wearing down those linebackers. I think, like you said, DJ, keep feeding the hot hand. But if you get an opportunity to get Rooster in space on some of these plays, and I know Josh Gaddis is trying to come up with something, man, to get this guy in space, he's going to break one because you saw he still has some moves. All right. I understand he maybe doesn't want to get hit, but I think that if you put him out in space, he's going to break one, and the rest is history. I still think he's the best running back on this.
So I would say I would take Parrish over him, but I think they're completely different.
As the best running back on this team?
Right now, yeah.
Yep.
Well, right now,
most experience because
he's. Well, they're different. So the thing I'm liking about
I still think coming into the season, Rooster was the best running back on the team.
Well, I mean, we have a 2-game sample size for Parrish, right? I'm not gonna pretend like I watched all his Ole Miss games because I did not. But the thing that I like is he runs downhill and hits the hole. It's no nonsense, and I think that's what the type of offense we're running. That's what Gaddis is looking for. That's what Mario is looking for.
But you say it like Rooster doesn't do that because he was getting the ball 30 times a game last year, running up the middle.
He's got a little bit more juke in him.
He does, but he can also run up the middle. He's gotten the ball 30 times a game at some point last year.
I'm not saying he's afraid to run up the middle. I'm saying he does a little bit more dancing, and sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad, right? There's not. Yeah. But my point is for what they're looking to do. I think Parrish is a better fit, and I think Rooster will work his way back in, but I think it's going to take some time here. I don't think it's like this week he's just going to get 15 carries. Like, I don't think that's what's going to happen.
No, to your point, he gets 15 carries.
To your point, his skill set is very unique. He's by far the most explosive running back, maybe player on the team. So I do think your point about getting the ball in space, having him a package, these are a sequence of plays we want to run with him. I like that a lot. I'm a big fan of Knighton. I don't want to misconstrue this. I think he's awesome, but I don't think he's necessarily ready to carry the load in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Blue, we didn't get your take there, man.
My take is I agree with Vish in the fact that I think right now where Henry's the most experienced back, he's ready, he's healthy, and he's ready. He's been taking some hits in the line of scrimmage. He's been breaking the ball. I think that you're going to ease in Rooster. And once you do, I think he becomes maybe a guy that in between the 20s becomes very vital for you. Because once the ball gets to the 20s, you got to put Thad in because Thad will wear down the defenses. His big body wears the linebackers down. If he should break that first or second level, then he'll just wear the safeties down all day that are coming up on him. So, but in between the 20s, Parrish is my man. And then when he needs a spell, then you put in Rooster and let him get some carries. He could break one. Like you guys said, he's got that. He could go coast to coast. He's got the moves, but I just don't think he's had enough experience, coming back yet. I mean, even, he's had, like you said, it's a small sample size. It's a small sample size for everybody. But for him, it's even smaller because he hasn't had that many significant carries. And you'd hate for him to get banged up right away just because of the fact that he's not ready to make a cut. Because I always remember this, and I think it was pointed out to me by some people that when you play a team like Bethune-Cookman and you find that hole right there, well, those holes close when you play teams like A&M because you got faster guys getting there to make plays. So he's going to have to adjust quicker, and he hasn't had that experience this year doing that. So I have Parrish carrying the load, could get 20, 23, 24 carries because if he has a hot hand and he's eating up the clock and getting 4, 5, 6 yards at a clip, you can't take him out. He'll be in the groove for it. And then, but like I said, you get in close, and Thad Franklin is really tough to stop. So, no, they're fine. They're fine at running back. I just think that Jalen I think in a couple of games he's back to his self, but right now it's really tough to put a guy like that, still, with little game playing time against a team like that, aggressive like that, and fast. You see, that's what I'm saying. If you're playing even if you're playing like, I don't know, Georgia Tech, they're not as fast. So, but and then I'd say, yeah, I'd put him in more. But he's going to see, even as quick and agile as he is, and he cuts every time he cuts. There's going to be a linebacker that's going to be right that runs a 4.45 or something like that. That's 6'3", 230. So that's my only point. I don't think we're in bad hands with any of them, but I think that's what I would do if I'm Gaddis. Rooster would be a complimentary back until he gets back in the flow again. He may take one the distance this week, but remember, his condition is remember, they don't tackle in practice. So
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, Rob.
The one last thing, and I know we got some other topics, just on the running backs. I thought it was really weird that, like, the last play of the game, remember they fumbled and then we put Parrish back in and handed him the ball for like one more carry.
Yeah, that was crazy.
With all those other guys that you got,
and like after other than Rooster, I think Parrish and Franklin were the only other guys who got carries, even way down in garbage time. I thought that was interesting. We didn't really.
Yeah, it was only those three. It wasn't Stanley.
I thought it was interesting. We didn't rotate at all.
Perry. Yeah, none of those guys got any pay. No, again, I agree with you guys. I think Parrish is still the bell cow, but yeah, I think they're definitely going to have some interesting stuff going on for Rooster this one to get him in space and make some plays. Moving along, I think that the perfect segue to that is really the offensive line. I wanted to go another way, but I think we're going to stick with the offensive line because I think this is it's not a question mark. I think, look, all in all, we saw the offensive line in the first half looked like they were struggling. And Mario mentioned, well, they gave us some looks and they did some things that they weren't prepared for because there wasn't any tape for it. They did something different, blah, 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 whatever it was. They looked like they had some issues. They cleaned it up, obviously, in the second half. We saw Zion Nelson in the game with some snap counts. He was on a snap count as well. Logan Sangapolu, we may have seen him a little bit. I'm not even sure if I remember seeing him on the field, if I was paying attention, to be honest with you. But I did notice Zion come in. But this is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to start off with this first. I think obviously the left side is our strong side. From Ja'Kai over. I think John Campbell's done a hell of a job his first two games. And I think that Jalen Rivers is obviously, one of our best, if not our best lineman right now. Here's my thing. I think right now you can't start Zion Nelson against Texas A&M. I think John and Jalen have done a hell of a job on that side. Right now, John Campbell is my left tackle. I think that you still kind of like Rooster, right? You got to still ease in Zion a little bit. I think this is not the game to have him play a massive amount of snaps because you're going to be going against the likes of, whether they're young or not, they're big boys, right? I know you got Shamar Stewart on that line. You've got some other guys that are big dudes, and they are young. They're inexperienced. You saw them struggle against App State a little bit last week. So if you want to take advantage of that again this week, when the morale may not be as high, you got to play your horses. You got to play your studs. And at this point, I think John Campbell is my left tackle. The offensive line as a whole has done a better job. Again, almost about 200 yards rushing against Southern Miss. I think it was like 196 actually, or 192, something like that. So they did a good job either way. And what's great is that they do a really good job towards the end of the game and kind of wear these defenses down. Are you, and I'll start off with you on this, Vish, what do you want to see out of this offensive line? Do you agree that left side is the strongest, John Campbell, or do you want to see Zion play more? How do you want to see that play out against Texas A&M?
So I think to the extent that there were issues last week, it was what Mario said. It was missed assignments more so than physical. This week it could be physical. Like you could get physically beat, which I don't think happened a lot last week. It was really just, someone's not blocking anyone, two guys in one gap type of thing, which is consistent with what Mario said about we saw some things. They showed us some things we didn't see on tape. We weren't ready for it. So in terms of Zion, I feel like I'm in the same place it was a Rooster, big fan of the talent. You can't just throw him out there now and give him like starting snap counts. Like you got to work him back in. if you think about it, after this game, we got Middle Tennessee State, then a bye week before ACC play starts. I think that's when you're going to see really a big uptick in both Rooster and Zion Nelson playing. So in terms of the approach, if you look at what App State did to this team, they ran it over them, around them, through them, held the ball for like 40 minutes.
Guess what our strength is? We can run the ball.
So I think we're going to try to do the same thing. I mean, if App State can do it, why can't we, right? So I think we're going to try and run over them, control the ball the same way App State did. As bad as A&M's offense was last week, and it definitely was, one of their touchdowns was the kick return. Like they only had the one touchdown drive. They hardly had the ball because App State held it.
Lowest amount of plays is they had the ball. If you have the ball 70, I think they had 30 something, 37.
Yeah, that's right.
That's awful.
Yeah, no. Then the time possession was like 40-20.
That's gonna be the key, and I know we'll go to keys of the game, but whatever, keys of the game. But I'm sorry,
so that's where the big. I think we're gonna, and I do think, you know, even though we struggled to get the run game going a little bit at the beginning, I have seen very few missed run blocking assignments. And we've done a very good job run blocking, I think. And I think that's why I think you keep that unit together. You come in there and try to do what App State did, control the ball, control the line of scrimmage, and go from there.
Yep, I agree. DJ, your thoughts on the offensive line play?
I mean, I feel like you still got to go with Campbell and go with what works again, because I think this is the type of game where, and I kind of said it just a couple of minutes ago, but I'll just reiterate it again. This is the type of game where you stick with what works. And you know, so far the offensive line, particularly in terms of, you know, running, granted slow starts, yes, but, you know, the running backs have been able to provide a strong output, and, you know, the offensive line has held its own. And it's good to see Campbell kind of really, you know, settle into a groove. Mario was really complimentary of him during preseason camp, and I think you just stick with what works. I wouldn't try any major changes until, like Vish said, the schedule gets a little bit easier, you know, after the bye week, after Middle Tennessee State. I would just stick to the game plan right now.
Blue, have you seen anything from the offensive line, like not necessarily on the left side, but on the right side that you don't like? Maybe DJ Scaife. Is there something that maybe they might want to try something different? Or are we kind of sticking to what we have now, playing Zion a little bit to give Campbell a rest, and playing some of the other guys to give Campbell a rest? Give some of the other guys a rest. Or is Sangapolu coming in and going to play over Justice more? I mean, what do you think about this offensive line right now? And do they need to make any changes, or they kind of got to go with what they have?
You got to go with what you have. But at the same token, remember in the first game, Tyler wasn't touched. That wasn't the case last week. So I'm sure A&M watches game film. So I'm sure they're going to see where Miami's breakdowns came from, because athletically, especially up front, A&M is a little bit better than Southern Miss, I would say. So they're going to call that. It's going to be one of those as you play. If they make mistakes and they're looking like a swinging gate and letting everybody in, turnstile wise, they're going to have to make some adjustments, and that's where a guy like Mirabal comes in. And he's got to counteract anything, what the defensive coordinator is coming up with from A&M with his offensive line. And this is his strong suit, being able to do something like that. So I agree with Vish. You stay with what you got. And if it dictates that you have to make some changes, you just like you did, you had to make adjustments. You make adjustments. And that's what the game's all about. Hopefully they'll blow a lot of assignments in the first half, so you could talk to them at halftime and show them a lot of film, but they do anyway. I mean, they get them on the, they already have everything on video, so they'll show them, the gaps and everything where, hey, look, you see what happened on this play. You went over here. You got to read a lot better, and and that's what they do. This is why they call it coaching, and that's why I think that they got the talent. They just have to make the adjustments, and that's where coaching comes in. And like I said, whether it be Frank or Mirabal or Gaddis or whoever, you've got to look at each situation. And you come off of a series where, Tyler was sacked and he was pressured. The offensive line wasn't doing this and that. You take a look at some of the video of that series and you break them down quickly and say, listen, and then you point those out and then you make your corrections. That's how you have to do it, because, I've seen games where even the best of teams get stung right away, on a play, a misdirection, something, where there's a breakdown, and they go to the bench, and there's nobody pointing fingers. You just get in there and look at some of the video and say, okay, yeah, you're right. I went this way, and my read was off, and that's what happened. And I think that, but every position is like that, defensively too. But you're asking me about the offensive line. I say they stay intact. They make their changes when needed, and that's it. Scaife is very inconsistent. We know that. I mean, he could have like 2-3 plays where he's just lights out, and then could have 2-3 plays where he's not.
Yep. No, I totally agree with you there. I actually think Scaife, and I think a lot of people agree with this, is better on the inside than he is as a tackle. But right now, just based off of some of the injuries that we have, some guys that may not be ready to go just yet, I think he's probably our best option there. Unless the time comes when Zion is ready to go, then you might see John Campbell move over to the right side because he does have experience playing right tackle as well. Now you got yourself a pretty decent offensive line there on both sides. So that should be fun to watch, the battle in the trenches. As cliche as it sounds, I think that it's going to be a big time battle there. Moving along to the last thing I want to mention, and I know this is going to be Larry Bluestein's favorite topic of discussion tonight. It's going to be the linebacker play, baby. You know it. Listen, I have never seen Blue gets so happy when Corey Flagg makes these plays. And let me tell you, it's not just Blue. Everybody's starting to notice how much better. And Flo mentioned it on his show last night too, if any of you heard it. But he was like, I want to see Flagg play. I see Flagg playing. He's gotten better.
Well, he's a starter now, and he should be, because
he should be.
I don't care, Vish, and I don't care, guys, if he's not 6'3", 235. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, he's 1 or 2 in that stat sheet when it comes to tackles, and that's going to be the end result. And you look back, and I'm not comparing him to anybody. I'm just comparing him size-wise, because if you remember, like Sean Spence was like 198 his sophomore year, so he had to get a little bit bigger. Jesse Armstead was 186 when he came to the University of Miami. I think he topped out at 212, 214. So to me, it's the instinct, and this guy just knows the flow of plays. He may not be as fast as everybody, but because of the fact that he knows how to read and he knows where to go, he cuts all that crap out. Where, this guy runs a 4.5, big deal. So maybe Flagg runs a 4.66, but he gets there a lot faster because he's smarter and he knows the angles. And I mean, you watch good players. Zach Thomas was a perfect example of that. Zach knew angles better than anybody, and that's why he always had 14 and 15 tackles every game.
Blue, how many times did we see what we thought was maybe a hole for their running game, and all of a sudden you see number 11 just plug that hole and boom, hit someone.
Well, I kept letting you know too.
Yeah, you did. Trust me, I couldn't get away from it. Every time Corey Flagg made a play, Blue made sure he let me know. And he made some plays. I saw a little bit more. He looks a little bit quicker. He's definitely north and south kind of guy. I get that. But, you still saw him drop back a little bit and cover when there was an issue. So I love to see – I love what I'm seeing out of him. Wayman Stevens not playing terrible either.
No.
He looks pretty good. Are you concerned, or is it interesting? Okay, and I'll kind of throw this over to Vish. Is it interesting that you're not seeing as much of Caleb Johnson and Keontre Smith? You're actually seeing more Wesley Bassane and Chase Smith than you are Keontre and Caleb Johnson. And we all thought Caleb Johnson was going to come in and be that guy, a starting Mike right off the bat and just, kill it. I'm not saying he's bad. I still think maybe he's learning the system. I don't know. But are you intrigued that that's what's happening right now, Vish?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised that, Flagg has kind of come to the fore here because he's always had a lot of tackles. And like Blue said, it's kind of aesthetically not pleasing sometimes. And I think that's kind of –
he's the opposite of DJ Ivey, right?
Well, but I also – good analogy. But I also think, it's hard when – as bad as the run defense and tackling has been the last few years, and you look at the kids on the field,
right.
It's hard not to prejudge them as there's no way that individuals could actually be having a good game in the midst of North Carolina running for 700 yards, right? So which is an actual real stat. So it's hard to kind of square that circle. But I am surprised that we're not seeing Caleb Johnson in front of the freshman, like West. Like, to me, that is surprising. I think that rather than a negative for Caleb Johnson, although I'm sure he's not thrilled with it, I mean, they've been talking about Wes, and we talked about him, coming in, that this kid's a stud. And I think, after the first game, like, we got to get him on the field more. Like, I think he's just earned it. So I think it's actually a good thing, not necessarily it's surprisingly, but in a positive way. I don't think it's a knock on Caleb Johnson. I think it's Wes is just forcing them to play him.
Yeah.
True. He dropped that.
And you know what?
So I'm sure he was upset about that.
Yeah, well, here's another advantage for Corey Flagg. He went to Houston North Shore, which is like about 40 minutes from College Station. So he's going to have all his family there. He's going to be pumped up to do well. You know how that is when you get a guy from that area to come home. So I think that helps. I mean, it really does. And I think that's just another facet that this week, I'm sure that the Houston papers are doing a lot of stories with him. I mean, because here he comes to town and, he's starting, he's a local guy. And, just like if, when we have Miami kids, come back to South Florida, like Gore, right. You make a big deal out of that because he's from here, but obviously because his dad played in Miami too. So
he's going to be pumped to play this game for sure, Blue.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what Miami's going to do against an opponent that's big, quick, talented, well-coached, and basically 2 years ahead of what Miami is right now because of their depth. I mean, people hate to hear that, but it's the reality. I mean, they've been able to recruit the way Miami is in that 23 class for 2 years. They've been getting those, Shamar Stewarts and all these high, even Keith Brown, who, he debated whether to go to Miami. He's a big time kid too. And then you got the running back from Miami Central, who's back up to A-Chain. So, so I think I'm just excited to see how much Miami's learned off the first two games. I think the intensity level when they come out of that tunnel is going to be off the charts, being on national TV, being a marquee game at 9:00. A lot of people are you'll know that the nation will be watching because 9:00 is a little, one of those late games and everybody's going to be coming home, and whether it be the first half or the second half, because you figure the second half is going to be close to 11:15. So you're going to have a lot of people watching. I think Miami's going to be on display. You have a lot of those naysayers that don't want Miami to be back, but then you have a lot of people that know that when Miami is back, the relevance of college football is that much greater, I think, because, they have the swag, they have the history, they have still churning out players, in the NFL. Watched a couple of them yesterday. You look at Jordan Phillips and guys like that. I mean, you can't help but understand how good college football is when Miami's relevant. And I think that you're going to have a core of those, and then, no more Brent Mouseburger making, Miami should be banned for life. That's
stuff. God, yeah. Yep. By the way, big recruiting weekend.
Yeah.
Up in College Station as well.
I'm sure.
Jaylen Brown will be out there.
Oh, he is?
Hakeem Williams is going to be out there. So you got some big name guys from Miami going up to this game that were invited by Texas A&M. You want Cristobal to shove it in their faces, to beat the daylights out of Texas A&M, and then turn around and look at that recruiting section and go, all right, let's go. All right.
And that's a good point, because even with somebody like Corey, I'm sure he knows guys that are coming to the game from the Houston area and stuff like that. So who knows?
Anthony Hill will be there as well.
Exactly. So who knows who you could flip, or somebody who will say, oh, wow, I didn't know Miami was this dynamic, or I didn't know they played that scheme. And, I didn't know Charlie Strong was here. And I did. So you never know in a game like this that, you expect it in the ACC where Miami will go to Georgia Tech or North Carolina, or Virginia and Virginia Tech, because everybody knows they've been doing it for a long time. But this is only Miami's second trip to a College Station. I remember when they were there before, and they took it to them.
They did.
And, and then turned around the following year, took it to them down here. So I just think that Miami's in a situation that they have an opportunity to do some pretty good stuff. And, we'll see. Akeem, I don't know. I mean, like I told you, Akeem hasn't rung my bell. He's a great kid, but his production level is just rock bottom when it comes to playing. I mean, 3 catches for 10 yards against a team that was terrible he's got to pick up. He's got to pick up his production, because you're going to get more teams saying, forget about I could turn him into this. I could give you a list of coaches who've tried to turn people into something.
David Hicks. Yeah, that would be awesome if he's there too. I know Tony Mitchell is going to be there. Miami doesn't have a safety sign for the 2023 class yet. I believe he's an Alabama commit right now, but him going to this game, the Texas A&M Miami, is a big game as well, considering Miami, I'm sure, is still recruiting him hard. Look, there's going to be a ton of kids out there.
Sure,
Jalen Brown,
people out there.
Yeah, a lot of people. It's got over 100,000 for sure. Even with what happened, I mean, college game day was supposed to be out there. App State ruined it, but that's okay. We're all right. Look,
App State didn't ruin it. Texas A&M ruined it.
Yeah,
really.
I guess you're right. Well, App State got college game day. They're going to Troy.
Yeah, they're going there instead.
Yeah, I love that. Like, they didn't already lose to North Carolina or something. Like, what are we? They win one game. Oh,
yeah,
it's like
they've been to North Dakota State a couple of times, so
Yeah, they have. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be a great atmosphere, and I think Miami has a really good shot. Speaking of that, keys to the game. Really quick, I think. By the way, the keys to the game are and Vish. The keys to the game are brought to you by PrizePicks.
By PrizePicks?
Yeah, I think the keys to the game are brought to you by.
I agree. They should be.
So we'll give a shout out to PrizePicks. Really quick here. Let's let me know when you're ready, Vish. We can talk about PrizePicks, baby.
I mean, I was born ready.
Yeah. All right. PrizePicks, the official daily fantasy app of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Make sure you're using the code 5. That's FIVE. When you sign up, and PrizePicks will match your initial deposit up to $100. Make sure you use the code 5, FIVE. You don't even have to spend it all at once, which is great. You can play the NHL, NBA, the NFL obviously is going on. You can play college football. Here's what's great: you can mix and match players as well. Okay, so you don't you can pair them from different sports and different teams. It all depends on how much you want to win. This is how it goes. Okay, you pick between 2 to 5 players. Then you play the over-under on individual categories. It all depends, again, on how much you want to win. The less players you pick, the less money you make. More players you pick, more money you make. Again, go to PrizePicks.com. Sign up using the code 5, FIVE. When you sign up, they'll match your initial deposit up to $100. PrizePicks.com. Let's do it. Keys to the game, ladies and gentlemen. I think that this is an important one. I wanted to go first because I didn't want anybody to take mine. So I'm going to go.
Was this becoming the F1 show now?
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. Yeah, right. I always go last in that show too. So
no, it seems like you're always stealing Moni's picks.
What? Yeah. Okay. Easy. Everybody's stealing my picks. I'm the only one that's gotten it right. Okay, except for Evan, who got it right. He's around here somewhere. Evan, I'm sorry. Keys to the game. I'm gonna go with time of possession. Is gonna be very key in this game. The more we control the football, the more time we hammer them. We run the ball down their throats, and we control the time of possession, and we control the field position. We do all those things right. We run the football well. I think that's going to bode well for us because you saw what App State did, and they ran the ball. They held the time of possession. They ran more plays. And you keep their offense off the field. Even though they're not sure who they're going to play at quarterback, or they say they aren't, they still have a lot of playmakers on that side of the ball. And the more that you can control the football, the more time you can take off the clock. I think that's going to help Miami a long way. So I'm going to go with time of possession is going to be key. We'll go to you, Vish, next.
Yeah, I'm going turnovers, which is kind of a cliche because if you win the turnover battle, you win the game. But I think it could be pretty lopsided. You mentioned the DVDs, TVDs one bad pass. That's been it. We've been very protective of the ball this year. Done a good job, running backs holding on to it. This is a step up in talent and step up in physicality, but Texas A&M has turned over quite a bit this year already. I think there's an opportunity for us to win that battle pretty heavily and therefore the game. So I'm going turnovers.
Nice. DJ, what do you got?
I'm going, pass defense. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but, they have some dynamic wide receivers on, the offensive side of the ball. And I know, their quarterback, we don't know who the quarterback is, but, as long as you have receivers like they do, there's always a chance to be involved in the game. Smith and Stewart are averaging 18.5 and 10.5 yards per catch. And, anytime a team has playmakers like that at wide receiver, you can never take it easy. So, as long as the corners play well, as long as the secondary continues to build off of, the good last week and kind of correct the bad that we saw last week, then they should be okay. But, I'm the secondary versus those two wide receivers in particular, as well as Brown, that's going to be an interesting matchup to watch for me.
Definitely, I like that. Blue, what do you got? What is your key to the game?
Well, with the crowd amped up and a lot of emotion, a lot of electricity, you have a tendency to get in that mode where you make stupid penalties. And I think, like whether it's a late hit or whether it's holding or something, I think Miami's got to cut down the penalties. I think the team, and I know maybe it sounds cliche, but I've seen teams make more penalties and still win. But I think that the team with the least amount of mistakes in this game is going to come out victorious. And penalties, since Vish stole my key, I think I'll go with the penalties.
Can we all agree that TV, and I know someone mentioned it here, Rob, TVD as the key to the game, along with our safeties. Yeah, I think that TVD, I don't want to say he has to have a monster game because, again, if we run the ball really well, we're good, man. Like we're as the kids these days like to say, we're Gucci when it comes to all right. TVD has a good game. He protects the football.
Mute you, man.
He protects the football. Oh, you'll mute me for that, but you won't mute DJ for talking crap about the Miami Heat. And well, you're not even a Heat fan.
What are you talking about? As long as no one
At
mentions
least
the
stop keeping
Cowboys,
it
I'm
to
good.
sports and not trying to fit in desperately with the younger crowd.
Okay. Yeah, we got the wrong people in the controls here. That's for sure.
I feel like DJ is the younger crowd.
I am. I'm 27, so I definitely am the younger crowd.
Oh my god!
And you're still embarrassing me, so don't try to fit in again, okay?
I would never try to embarrass you. I'm young too. You can kiss my ass, okay? How about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, you're young. That's why you got those gray hairs on your beard.
That's called experience, baby. That's not called age.
Sure.
Get it together.
You know what you could do with those? Manscaped. I bet you that were products.
Those are not getting touched. Those are not getting touched.
Offer code
that's on my
5
face,
RSN.
by the way, that's on my face. I'm not putting that anywhere near my face. Anyways, predictions. DJ, what's your prediction?
I think it's going to be a tough one, but I do think
20-7. I'm sorry, that was yesterday. That was yesterday's game. My bad. Go ahead. What were you saying?
What I was saying before Jazz
That was
really
good,
interrupted
Jazz.
me.
I gotta give you that. That was good.
Thanks.
Vish, are you in Washington D.C.? Like,
well, you give us the prediction already, DJ.
Yeah,
Jesus.
go for it.
I'd say 30-17 Miami.
Ooh.
I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be like 70 points because that's definitely not happening.
You're not gonna go 59. You're not gonna go 59.
Yeah,
nothing?
not 59-0.
Hey man, we were like a field goal away from still covering the spread. I would have been out clean, but no. Mario, I was like, kick the field goal at the end. I could have gotten a push on that.
Not going to be quite as easy this week, I don't think.
It was minus 26. I needed that field goal.
Not going to be quite as easy.
Blue, what do you got? What's your prediction for the game, man?
I think Andy Borregales wins at 34-31.
Oh, I like it.
Wow, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. Oh man, Vish, what do you got, man?
So here's the thing.
You got what Gus put?
Here's the thing. Well, it's be a little bit tougher. So this week, 58. No, I'm just kidding. So that 1 point you got to give it
59-7.
59-7.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get a garbage touchdown. So I think we all know, like at this point, that I have some ties to that area, and I can't respect that program. I know everyone's like it's a tough place to play. Please. We're Miami, damn it. Act like it.
God. Oh, man.
So, I mean, after all this bravado, there's no way I'm going to pick a margin bigger than what DJ picked. I cannot believe you picked us to win by 13 points.
That's good. I like it, DJ.
Yeah, but I'll go 28-24, but they get like a garbage touchdown at the end. I think we're better than them. Yeah. I understand App State's better than like they look on paper, but they didn't look good against Sam Houston State either. It's not nearly as tough a place to play as people give it credit for. I've been in much louder stadiums. They're very rah-rah, but they're not abusive. Like if you go play at LSU or whatever, there's like a different level of like psychosis at some of these places. College Station is not that. So I think we'll handle our business and come out there with a win.
They're going to be fired up for this one, both sides. I'll tell you what.
Both sides definitely will be, yeah, especially after what happened last weekend. I'm going to go. I'm gonna go 30-26. Weird score, but I'm gonna go 30-26 Miami. Like you said, I think that they get a couple field goals late and maybe try to march down, and Miami figures out a way to stop them. And it's 30-26. So you fired up on the Scott Frost firing. Yeah, he is. You got something to write about
yes,
now.
Actually, yeah, I have something to write about, and my Twitter's very busy these days. So yeah, I actually am.
Oh boy, what a crap show that is over there, huh?
Yeah, it's quite the mess over there, but I think the boosters are going to be writing these nice checks to get a new coach, kind of like what we saw at Miami prior to Mario Cristobal, kind of a similar situation.
You know what you guys need to do, what the guys at Lincoln need to do, Blue, Vish, you know what they need to do over there? They need to go ahead and set some cars on fire in the parking lot, right?
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
Get everybody fired up over there.
Dolphins are really fired up, right?
Yeah, they are.
Don't
you guys have that F1 show tonight?
No, that's Wednesday night.
We're already tomorrow.
This is the freedom of moving this to Mondays.
This is why we moved it to Monday, baby.
This is what happens when we do more than an hour of a show. It just goes off the rails. But you know what? I like it that way. I like it that way.
That's when the fun starts.
It's fun. It's fun that way for sure.
And just so, I think we all knew Gus was picking Miami, but he did clarify.
Yeah, he did. Miami. Thanks, Gus. Thanks for letting us know. Real quick. Yeah, make sure you keep it locked here. Blue and myself will have a pregame. DJ, if you want to join us, you're more than happy, unless you're writing too much about Nebraska losing again, more than likely. But we'll have a nice pregame. That's not a knock on you. I'm knocking Nebraska. I know you can care less.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
But make sure you keep it locked. We will have a pregame show this Saturday at 8 p.m. We'll do a nice pregame show. Vish will not be on for reasons we will not discuss, but he will not be on as he will be at the game.
Thank you.
Enjoying the game at College Station.
Some light refreshments for Vish prior to the game.
With some libations and lowering his faculties.
This
can't do a cameo?
You should, Vish. You should, Vish.
I'll see what I can do. If you guys send me, I can't produce it obviously off my phone.
No, Blue. His faculties will be very lowered, though, my friend. I don't know.
That's fine. We gotta check that out.
We're gonna get the whole YouTube channel flagged.
He could do the Manscaped commercial that night.
We just need to give Vish a GoPro and then just let him travel around the stadium with it, and then give us the footage for the show on Monday.
Yeah, right.
Man. Me a half an hour before kickoff, having maybe consumed a couple of adult beverages right before Miami's about to play Texas A&M. I don't know that should be.
I don't know if that's
that's great. Hey, that's great podcasting.
That'd be great film. Yeah, that would be awesome.
I think we need. I don't know if I should do it live though. I think we probably need an edit.
Fernie, by the way, Fernie, reach out to me. I'll let you know about the watch party that we're having on Saturday to see if there's any spots open or available. But hit me up on DM me and we'll talk about it. But yeah, like I said, Gus, anybody else in town that wants to go to that watch party, let me know. Give us a follow on YouTube, not on Instagram. Well, on Instagram also at Six Rings Canes, but also on Twitter at Six Rings Canes. Make sure you follow us there every Monday night here at 8:30 p.m. on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. And this Saturday, we've got the Texas A&M Miami pregame show live from everywhere, from from Blues Room, from
My room.
Blues Room, from Blues Room.
Hey, there should be a restaurant called that.
Yeah, right. Blues Room. We got to think about that, Blue. We might be able to do something with it. Blues Room, and from live, I will be at a location as well. I will be at the Scenic Bistro CMX over in Brickell for a watch party there. So make sure you keep it locked, as we will have that pregame show at 8 p.m. for you. And throughout the week, if we decide to throw something up, we'll definitely throw something up and let you guys know also. Again, Vish, DJ, Blue, always a pleasure. Big week, Texas A&M. Let's go kick their ass. And it's all about the U, baby. Go Canes. We'll see you guys Saturday night.